Hi everyone, my name is ARSHAD Hussain, and today I am very excited to have Ryan RABINOVICH, who's the President of Pre-Construction and Development of the PSR. And Ryan is going to tell us more about the most awaited and highly anticipated master plan condominium community at Dufferin Dupont. I must tell you, there's a lot of buzz around for this project, and Ryan is going to tell us the inside out of this project, why this is the best community at the moment to invest in. So let's welcome Ryan. Hi Ryan, how are you today?
Hi Arshad, thank you for having me.
I must tell you, it's not easy to get on hold on you, but luckily, so thank you very much for giving me.
It's a little challenging these days, so thank you for being patient.
Thank you very much. Now Ryan, before we go further, I really wanted to know about the developers. I know Elad Canada and the Freed developments from a long time. But for my viewers, I wanted to know, could you please tell us the history of these two developers?
Of course. So Freed is a firm that many Torontonians are already familiar with, known for transforming King Street West, having a lot of foresight and really strong focus and vision on aesthetics and the live, work, play concept. Surprisingly, many people are not actually very familiar with Elad Developments, who have had a great track record already in Toronto. Elad is a multinational firm with offices in Israel, in Florida, in New York, and in Toronto. Their market value is approaching $2 billion. So this is a very, very strong, well-heeled company that's traded in the public markets as well. Elad has a strong focus on creating master plan communities, really meaningful master plan communities, because of their scale, they rarely focus on standalone buildings. They want to create communities. So they've done Emerald City, had a lot of success there, applying all of those lessons, all of those opportunities to learn into Galleria on the Park, and they already have their next master plan community purchased and is currently in the development stages at Lansing Square. So, very, very strong developer with an active pipeline.
Well, very good. So I'm also very excited. I also work with Elad, and I've sold a number of buildings for
I heard
them.
you've done great, yeah.
Yeah, I've done great, thanks to my clients actually. And not only that, I think when you know the developer, and especially when you know the finished product of the developers, and the quality which they provide actually to your clients, that's really make you excited.
Yeah.
Now coming back to Galleria, tell me more about the Galleria Mall or Galleria Park condominiums, and I also wanted to know from your own experience, where do you see this pocket in the next 4 to 5 years from now?
That's a great question. So Galleria today and the neighborhood today is there's a bit of in-migration happening within the city with a lot of young families, young professionals. A lot of the hipster movement is coming into Dupont West, and we're seeing some really great restaurants, great artists, great galleries coming into the neighborhood and really thriving there, which is a good sign because that's what happened at King West before it became what it is today, the citywide lifestyle destination. So in my opinion, there's a few things happening below the surface at Dupont West now, which we could get into later if you want, but Galleria is a very, very meaningful step forward for this already really well-established community of second and third generation Canadians, because it's the first meaningful development with a lot of residential density, but also a lot of retail and a lot of public spaces that's coming into the neighborhood. So I really believe that in the next 4 or 5 years, and even beyond, 10 years and later, this community would become actually a citywide destination versus just a community within itself.
Oh, absolutely, you are right. And I also would like to add here, I personally, what I learned in a decade, especially if you're sited closer to a major amenities like educational facilities, like University of Toronto, right? Yonge and Bloor, which is a main hub. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's only 20 minutes away.
It's less.
It's less than that.
Yeah, so Galleria on the Park, geographically, is an incredible neighborhood. Location is very, very strong. It's a downtown project, ARSHAD. Yes. It's not downtown core, but it's really a downtown project. Dupont and Dufferin within 10 minutes or so, you could get to University of Toronto or to Yonge and Bloor.
True.
The transit options are abundant. You're, near 2 subway lines, the Bloor station and the one line on Spadina that goes up to Vaughan, down to Union and up to Finch Station. So you're near the Up Express from Union to Pearson all day. So transit options are abundant. You're very well connected, and you're 10 minutes away from where you really perceive to be the city center, which is Yonge and Bloor.
I also heard, it's a master plan community for sure. So we're going to build I believe 8 buildings there, right? How about the community center and the park retail elements? I heard this is also going to be a part of that community.
Yeah, so this is a great point of discussion, because when you're creating a master plan community, different than creating a standalone building, you have to really take a step back from it all and think about how you incorporate all of these different elements and bring them together harmoniously. So Galleria features, as you mentioned, 8 buildings with nearly 3,000 apartments. There's a very, very significant retail component that goes in there. There are 300,000 square feet of retail coming into the neighborhood. To give you some context, the site sits on an existing mall today called Galleria Mall. The mall has 230,000 square feet. So there's actually more retail coming in than there was before.
Wow.
Right across from the retail, there'll be a brand new 8-acre park, which is such an incredibly rare amenity in an urban environment in the city today. Very few projects can say that they're creating an 8-acre park. That's 360,000 square feet of green space.
Very rare.
That is incredible. And finally, it all culminates with the addition of a brand new community center coming in at about 95,000 square feet, making it one of the largest community centers in the GTA, and it includes state-of-the-art programming, swimming pools, fitness facilities, studios, classrooms. It even includes daycare, which is again something really rare, and the reason why the city really pushed to get a daycare in, and the developers of course are a part of it, is because we're seeing the transition of many young families into the neighborhood, so adequate childcare is a very high priority for the city, and we were happy to oblige.
Wow, very good. I'm very excited actually, hearing all of this from your side.
We're excited too.
Okay. How tall the buildings is going to be, out of curiosity?
So the buildings that are coming out as the first phase, there'd be 2 buildings coming out, and they would be the most westerly buildings in the community. So the northwest building will be about 29 stories, and the southwest building will be about 23 stories.
Wow, very good to know. Now, this is a little bit like question about our Toronto real estate market, as you are very much involved in the development side. So I really want to know your personal perspective about where you're seeing our Toronto real estate market in the next 4 to 5 years.
Look, overall, from a macro perspective, I'm actually very bullish on our market. I think Toronto is an incredible city. There are so many different aspects that make the city as great as it is, which we can get into if you'd like, but overall in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I see Toronto's growth continuing. I'm sure there'll be a few rough years mixed in between there, but overall I see continuous growth. We're seeing great job creation economically, we're doing well. And so I truly believe that the market as a whole in the GTA will continue to do very well.
Well said, well said. Now coming back to Galleria, what sort of units you guys are coming up with? Okay,
so the unit mix really has a few different elements. There are no studios in the first 2 buildings. 1 bedrooms are going to be, for the most part, between 500 and about 570 square feet. We're going to have some 1-bedroom and dens that are about 550 to about 620 square feet. You've worked on Emerald City, so you know Elad came up with this concept of 1-bedroom and flex, which the flex is a space that could be almost used as a secondary bedroom if you really needed it. We have those as well with second bathrooms. They'll be about 600 to 680 square feet, and our 2 bedrooms are about 700 square feet and up.
Yes, Ryan, I think you just mentioned about the Elad Canada, the functionality of the floor plan. And I must tell you, I work with many builders in this city. When it comes to a floor functionality and utilization of every single square footage of the unit, it's not many builders actually who do that. And I think Elad, for sure, they came up with the flex kind of the floor plan, which is it's a kind of second junior bedroom. So that's why it was very popular. The Emerald City community became very, very popular, because if people cannot afford to buy 2-bedroom units, there was an option for them for 1-bedroom and flex.
Right.
And it's really amazing to see the builders utilizing every single square footage of the unit. Yeah. Now the other question I have for you, which is most important, the deposit plan for anybody who's interested to secure their unit in this great project, and $1 million question about the price.
Oh goodness. So I'm afraid that the developer actually hasn't signed off on pricing at this point. Mm-hmm. The deposit structure will be extended, very flexible, to make sure that it's within reach for many of your buyers. Mm-hmm. But what we do feel comfortable in saying, based on our discussion with the developers, is that the pricing will be incredibly attractive. We all collectively believe that a first phase of a master plan community must be a smashing success. It sets the tone for the rest of the community, and we want to make sure that the developers benefit from that, but that also your buyers benefit from that and see the appreciation and seize on that, especially the early buyers in the first phase.
Oh, Ryan, I have one more question for you. As you know, I work with most of the investors. A lot of investors who would like to invest in our Toronto real estate, aiming to make money. I really wanted to know, from your perspective, how do you see this site, or how do you recommend investors to buy at this site?
For whether you're an investor or an end user, I always say end users are investors as well, because even if you buy a place for your family to live in or for yourself to live in, you still want it to perform really well. Because one day maybe you want to sell that asset, and ideally you would have made money when you're ready to do that. So when you're investing in a master plan community, you get a couple of really unique benefits that don't exist in a standalone building. When you're buying in a standalone building, that building alone has very little influence on how the neighborhood develops, how the neighborhood evolves, right? When you're buying in a master plan community, you're buying in a building, and at the bottom of that building, there are literally significant infrastructure investments happening to the tune of tens and sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. True. In Galleria, it's 300,000 square feet of retail, or a massive community park, or one of the largest community centers in the GTA. When all of those amenities come into play, what happens in a master plan community is, and as far as the property values go, those amenities actually take the property value and bring it up quicker, higher, and faster than the typical market conditions will on a standalone building. So investing in a master plan community, particularly in the early phases,
yes,
really makes a lot of sense, because you're buying into the community before anything is really there, right? Imagine buying a condo on the Young line, on the Young subway line, before the subway was there. And imagine how much that value is different once the subway is added. At Galleria on the Park, you have the same opportunity. You're buying into a neighborhood with a significant infrastructure investments coming in, and as a property owner, you get to benefit from that.
I'm glad actually you went to so much in detail, and you're absolutely right, especially when you're buying in the master plan community. Anyone who really get on hold on the units, especially in the first buildings, the first release, first 2 buildings or whatsoever, their return of investment potential is higher than the people who come later. So you're absolutely right. I'm glad actually you went to the details. So it's really going to help the people, who really want to look, to invest or would like to park their money. Not only that, investors, so as the end users. We do have an option here, 3 bedrooms, which is kind of rare though, right? We do have an option for 2 bedroom here. And not only that, I would like to add the functionality of the floor plan. Because end of the day, you want to live in the unit where the great layout it is, right? So I'm glad actually you mentioned that.
Great.
Okay, at last, Ryan, would you like to tell me how my clients can get an access on this great, amazing investment opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, and I would strongly recommend anyone that's potentially interested in being a part of Galleria, specifically the early phases, I would strongly urge them to get in touch with you, email you or call you. We've had a long-standing relationship. You've worked with Elad before as well. We're respectful of that, and we want to make sure that our close partners are being prioritized. So if you have anyone that's interested, get in touch with you, with your team, and vocalize your interest. Make sure that you ask any questions, and hopefully when September comes, we could make some buyers very, very happy.
Great, thank you very much, Ryan.